Alright mates, how's it going? In today's video, Chapter 6 of Illidan by William King. Here's a new character that a lot of people would have never even heard of before. Let's go! Who the bloody hell is this guy? Stalking through the dark landscape of Shadowmoon Valley, looking all angry and stuff. Well, his name is Vandel, and he's come a long way on a quest for vengeance. You see, his 3-year-old son, Cariel, had been torn apart by a fellhound during the Third War, and as you can imagine, Vandel was quite upset about that. Vandel remembered the day vividly. He had been in the woods hunting when the alarm horns sounded, and although he'd raced back towards Ashenvale as quickly as he could, he wasn't fast enough. And there wasn't much left of his 3-year-old son, just a pile of goo and a fellhound munching on tiny bones. And as a result, Vandel had gone a little bit mad, as you would. No sane elf would have spent long years tracking the betrayer. No sane elf would have passed through that magical portal and come to this shithole. The wall of the Black Temple loomed before him. There were many sentries and many warding spells. This was a fortress girded for war, so Vandel took advantage of every patch of shadow he could find. He wasn't going to let himself get cut down by the temple's guardians before he'd finished his business. The wall itself was dotted with clumps of moss and cracks from erosion, meaning someone who'd learned to climb amid the great trees of Ashenvale could probably scale it. So Vandel went ahead and did that. But as Vandel looked down, there was a brief moment where he felt the urge to just let go, end his suffering, rejoin his family. But he resisted. He couldn't rest until his son had been avenged. When he reached the battlements, he immediately jumped into more shadows. There were no signs of sentries nearby though, so that was cool. However, a bat-winged shadow then passed above. 'Twas Illidan, the betrayer himself, being all Batmanish. "Not long, my son. Not long." Illidan then landed atop the highest tower of the temple, paced for a bit and then leaned against the banister, seemingly surveying everything as far as the horizon. And Vandel wondered if the betrayer had noticed him. The demon hunter's sightless eyes were known to perceive things that most other peeps could not. But whatevs, probably nothing to worry about. So the night elf hunter stalked forward and continued his ascent until finally he was stood atop the very same tower as his target. Illidan's back was turned, still surveying the landscape. What was he looking for? What could he see? However, the demon hunter then just casually turned round, as if he'd known Vandel was there the whole time. "Forgive the intrusion, Lord Illidan. I did not wish to be cut down by your sentries before I had spoken to you." "What do you wish of me, Night Stalker?" "I want to slay those who slew my family. I want to slaughter your enemies." "I have quite a lot of enemies." "I want to learn what you've learned. I want to hunt demons. Will you teach me?" "I will teach you, and thousands like you. Go below. Rest. You will find what you seek, or die in the attempt." Illidan then turned his back again and returned to staring at the horizon, and Vandel figured that was an indication that this conversation was now over. So he strode back down to the base of the tower and found 2 tattooed figures waiting for him. One was a tall female with a scarred face. She seemed somewhat like a night elf, but she had demonic features. Her eye sockets, for example. Most people's eye sockets would have eyeballs in them. Hers had green flames instead, which was a bit weird. The second figure, also somewhat night elven, was male, and his eyes were sewn shut, as well as his lips. "You have spoken with Lord Illidan?" "Yes." "You are privileged indeed." "Privileged? Am I? He does not greet every supplicant personally. Seems he has some memory of you. Perhaps he has something special in mind." "I would not presume to read Lord Illidan's mind. You're wiser than you look. Do you have a name?" "I am Ilarisiel. He is Needle. Nobody knows his real name." Vandel bowed politely and the female laughed mockingly. However, Needle just kind of bobbed his head, which surprised Vandel more, to be honest, as he assumed the male would be blind, considering his eyes were sewn shut. "Lord Illidan told us to take you below." "How and when exactly did he tell you to do that?" "You will find out eventually, if you live." Gulp! The pair then led Vandel through a maze of corridors until eventually they arrived at some ruins. This was once part of the Temple of Karabor. The orcs and demons didn't leave a great deal of the original structure standing, to be honest. The intact buildings belong to Lord Illidan and his champions. We live here, under the watchful eye of Varidus and his companions. Varidus, the master tutor. As they entered the ruins, Vandel couldn't help but feel like this place seemed like an asylum, or a battlefield hospital. Elves sprawled everywhere. Some night elf, some blood elf. Some muttered to one another, and some sat on their own, rocking backwards and forwards in the shadows. In fact, one female suddenly jumped up, screamed, and then raced through the chamber yelling, "Worms, worms, worms!" And the weirdest thing was, no one else seemed disturbed by that. As you can see, you're not the only one that's found their way here. Many have come looking for Lord Illidan, but only a few will live to enter his service. Why do you keep saying that? What do you mean? You'll find out soon enough. Pick out any place and rest. You'll need your strength for the trials ahead. And then she was gone. And Needle was like, and then he was gone. Don't pay too much attention to her. She just likes to scare the new recruits. Somebody probably did the same to her when she first got here. Vandel turned to see who that voice belonged to. It was a mature-looking night elf, which meant he could be anywhere between 20 to 15,000 years old. And as far as Vandel could see, he had no scars or tattoos or sewn-up orifices. I know what you're thinking. My name's Vandel. A loon shines on the moment of our meeting, Vandel. I'm Ravael. Nice to meet you. So, you were about to tell me what I'm thinking. Please do. I'm not even sure myself. You're thinking what every newcomer that's ever been led into this hall thinks. Those guides are weird. Why did the rest of us have eyeballs and no tattoos? Are there more like them? Oh yeah, loads. Lord Illidan's building an army of the blind. But they're not blind, are they? They had no trouble guiding me here, or avoiding anyone in their way. You've thought things through, it seems. What are you doing here? Vengeance? Learn how to fight demons? Same reason as you, I'm guessing. Vandel took a deep breath and looked around again. At first, he'd assumed everyone here was mad, or an invalid. But now he realised that many of them bore scars, same as him. You lost someone? I lost everything. Yeah, I know what that feels like. Somehow, though, in this place, I feel we have even more to lose. And we're leaving it there! I know a lot of peeps take the piss and say only edgy boys play Demon Hunter, but it's a really fun class to play, in my opinion. Just flipping around, throwing boomerangs and stuff. And if you RP as a Demon Hunter, then it's very likely that your character is in the background during this part of the story. So that's cool. As usual, link in the description if you're interested in buying this book. Also, there's links to my Discord server and my Patreon page too. If you enjoyed this video, like, subscribe, all of that bollocks. And all that's left to say is, thanks for watching, and see ya!